This is a HeadGum podcast.
You got mail.
Hi, I'm Millie Tamaris.
And I'm Alise Morales.
And this is Go Touch Grass, the podcast where we log in
so you can log off.
Alise and I are two chronically online comedians, and on this pod, we break down the week in internet discourse, viral memes, TikTok trends, and niche influencer drama so that you can literally do anything else.
Anything else, and isn't doing something else important these days?
Then getting out, being online.
But actually, if you want to keep doing the same stuff and you like what you hear today and you want to hear more, we do have a Go Trust Grass Patreon already up and running with tons more content weekly, our Discord community, and our spin-off series Search History, where we go back and break down a viral discourse from the past. This week, we did an election reflection. I pulled some stats about exit polls, and we just talked through how we're feeling. So if you want to commiserate with us about that, that episode is available to all of our paid patrons. So people at the $1 level get one episode a month. They're getting that episode. You could also pay $5 and just get that episode individually. Whatever you want to do, you know, we're here for you with the content.
We're here for you, and we need you to be here for us. Please give us a 5-star rating and review on whatever platform. We love your reviews. We need more of them. Please, please, please. But really, the best review you can do is tell your friends, tag us in a little story. We'll repost it. We're online, but honestly, just tell people, hey, there's this podcast of, again, two mentally ill Hispanic women. Yeah,
exactly. We need to support mentally ill Hispanic women right now. We don't know how much longer we're going to be allowed to speak.
This is what I almost posted the other day. I was like, please come to my shows and support my podcast while I still have a bank account. But I'm like, might have been too dark, so I didn't post. But that is certainly the feeling.
Listen, y'all. You gotta support us while we're still here, for real.
While we're still
here. But again, we are literally online right now. We are recording virtually.
Yes,
so no guest, just us, which wasn't something that we planned in response to the election. The office is just closed because it's Veteran Day when we're recording. But I do think it's good that there's no guest today because the vibe is still not amazing.
I was in a trance for like a few days.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Yeah. And we get into all of it on the Patreon, but this round 2 was definitely like a different feeling than round 1. But I feel like I'm less, I don't want to say I'm less sad. I'm less like shocked and devastated and more like pissed off this time around. But I also just will have random moments where it like hits me that this has happened, and I'm like, and then TikTok is like, you should buy a hand crank solar powered radio, and I'm like, I think I should buy a hand crank.
Marsha was here yesterday, and she was like, we need to get like walkie talkies. I'm like, oh my god, like
TikTok. My FYP, because I engage with it, of course, but TikTok has converted for me to like, it's trying to sell me prepper stuff, and like. And I'm like,
oh my god!
I keep adding the stuff to cart, so it keeps starting to sell me more prepper stuff. And now I'm getting these white guys who are like, I was a Navy SEAL. This is how you survive in a collapse event. And I'm like, okay, sir, tell me.
Well,
here we are.
Here we are. I don't know how to pivot from that, Alise, honestly. Let's get into the discourse.
And what could it be?
What could it be? Honestly, I'm going to share my thoughts like kind of up top, and then we'll get into like what the discourse is. But by now, just as we were saying, you've heard that Donald Trump is the president, or going to be the president.
If you haven't heard, I'm so sorry to tell you.
Please don't let this be how you found out. And not only did he win like the Electoral College, he has won the popular vote. And also Republicans have control of the Senate, and there's a chance they'll probably have control of the House too. That's kind of still in play. And there are a lot of factors and revelations as to why that happened. And some of the points that people were saying, I mean, there were many factors that it contributed to this big loss, right? Many are saying that Democrats failed to reach the moment, speak to the moment, like speak to working class voters' concerns, the economy, all that stuff. A lot of people on the left are saying Kamala's policies on Gaza were whack, or they weren't enough of a departure of the inaction of Biden. And yeah, like the Biden administration's border policies weren't good enough, and that there was no primary.
Yeah.
And again, all of those reasons are totally fair criticisms towards the Democratic Party.
Yeah. And incumbents are losing all over the world, regardless of party. Like there are global trends that are at play here. I definitely feel like it's a little bit of all of the things. Like, I don't think
it's all of the things.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, and you know, and also there are obvious racist and sexist reasons why people didn't vote for Kamala. But let's just say, for the things, like everything that we said, for the reasons why she lost, right? Let's put that into effect. If your solution to any of those things was to vote for Trump, then you are kind of ignoring the people that he assaulted. Like, you're saying it kind of doesn't matter, the racist things he said from his mouth. You are kind of okay with the fact that he wants to do an national abortion ban, which is something that he says. He said he wants to defund public schools and defund the Department of Education.
Yeah.
There has been murmurs of him wanting to reverse the passage of gay marriage. That is something that his stacked Supreme Court said is a priority. He denies climate change. He's elevating RFK Jr., who doesn't believe in vaccines.
No.
Except for steroids for some reason, but whatever. So, yeah, exactly. So, if those are all things you're voting for, like, those are all the things that you're voting for by voting for Trump. It's not just that you have those criticisms about Kamala and the Democratic campaign. It's all those things too, right?
Yeah.
So, what's happening now? How does this tie into the discourse, right? I have to say, and again, I'm prefacing this, you're well within your right to vote for whoever you want.
Yeah.
We are a democracy for now. We are a democracy for now. We'll check in a year if it's still happening. But for now, we are a democracy, and you are well within your right to vote for whatever. But when your job is a career based on influencing people, when your job and your livelihood is based on having an aspirational lifestyle for others to want to aspire to, in late capitalism, every dollar is a vote towards something. If you want people to buy your product, they're not buying the product, which frankly is drop shipped from China, #Alibaba. They're buying you. They are buying your lifestyle. Every view that you get, especially if you're in the creators program, that is monetized. Every view is a vote into if people are endorsing your lifestyle, your values, your morals.
Yeah.
So, what does all this have to do? Is that today's discourse is about people taking note of their influencers and people who are big in this influencer space and what their favorite influencers align with politically, and where are they politically, and if they need to be supporting them. That is what has been the discourse since last Tuesday, basically. That what are the politics of the people who with the biggest platforms? Should we be supporting them? How should we engage with them, right?
Yeah.
One of the most significant places this conversation is taking form is on BookTok.
Oh, yeah. Because you know that I'm on BookTok, and I've been watching this unfold. I was like, I can't believe this is how BookTok finally makes it onto the pod. Because BookTok, there's always something going on.
There's always something going on. We've circled. It's crazy that we haven't really.
I know.
But it's always just for when we're picking things, it's like never like clean cut enough.
Yeah.
And there's always like tons of lore and all this shit. So
yeah, it's often very complicated drama that's going on BookTok that would require us to play like over 10 videos.
Yeah.
like,
no, for sure.
And explain like the most random stuff. But I am deep into BookTok drama, and I know I've been watching this conversation as it's been unfolding in the BookTok land.
Yes, and if you don't know what BookTok land is, that's totally fine. That is the point of this podcast. So BookTok is a community of TikTok users who are passionate about books and literature. BookTokers are known as they are known, create videos about books, including reviews, discussions about books, memes about books. Sometimes it's authors that are using TikTok to make content promoting their books or promoting new books, and again, BookTok videos often focus on young adult fiction, young adult fantasy, romance, stuff like that, sci-fi, all that. And it's not just like an online community. The community has had a significant impact on the publishing industry and on book sales. The young adult genre saw a boom in sales after 2020, and the adult fiction genre saw a 25% increase in sales following its popularity on BookTok in 2021. So it is like this thing so it's a big part of TikTok. It's a big active community, and it does equal dollars.
Yeah.
So in this fallout from the election, a lot of people have started hashtag unfollow list or an unfollow party. And that is when creators on BookTok, one creator, many creators, they make a list of people who have been either apolitical, have expressed outright conservative values, or have been apolitical, or they suspect of being conservative, based on other things they've said, based on, what kind of books they're promoting and all that stuff. And people are doing that, basically saying like, hey, every vote or every view is a vote. And it's like, you should know that these creators have these views. And if you feel passionately about these views, you should unfollow them.
Yeah.
That is what's going on.
One thing that I'll say, just as someone who recently monetized my TikTok, so I'm like learning now about like how the TikTok monetization thing goes. I think one of the like thought processes behind like blocking people is that you make money on a TikTok with qualified views, and qualified views are only views that come from it showing up in your FYP. So like if you go to someone's page and view their video, that's not a qualified view. It's only a qualified view if it comes up in someone's FYP. I'm not sure if that counts if you're like following or what, like I'm not sure how that works between like the following page versus the For You.
And what does FYP mean, just for example?
If you are not on TikTok, and God bless you, your FYP is like what you'll open to on TikTok initially, and it's just videos that the algorithm is serving you because it thinks that you are going to engage with them. So sometimes you will get videos that are like rage bait videos that are not from people you are following or from people you specifically unfollowed because the TikTok algorithm is serving it to you. So blocking someone means that they're never going to get a qualified view off of you. Like their stuff is never going to be served to you on the TikTok FYP because you have blocked them. So like there's this video going around of some like white woman crying and being like, my family won't talk to me because I voted for Trump. And I literally just went to her page and blocked her. I was like, now that I've like gone and watched this video, the TikTok algorithm is going to think I want to see this person, even if they think it, because it's going to make me mad. And I don't ever want her to like get a fucking dollar off of me. So I just blocked her.
Yeah. And that is what people are doing. That's a reality of what people are doing. I think people are feeling disempowered with how they voted, and it's not getting it's not getting the results that they want. So they are taking the power within themselves. And no one has faced a backlash clearer than this user Jacob's reading, He is a BookTok creator. He's a straight cis male. I think he's white. I'm pretty sure he's white. And he makes his entire BookTok presence. He has 154,000 followers as of today. And yeah, his whole thing is like, he's like a straight bro that reads like kind of female centered books. He voted for Trump and people started the campaign of let's unfollow him. Again, he likes female centered books, including Colleen Hoover, which we talked about before. So
yeah, I was going to say, I feel like we touched on BookTok a little bit in the It Ends With Us episode because BookTok had a lot to do with the rise of Colleen Hoover.
So this guy, Jacob's Reading, he has received a lot of backlash for coming out as a Trump supporter. This is his video. We're going to watch it and then we'll discuss.
So over the last 2 days or so, I've been stitched or tagged in probably about 100 videos of just screaming angry liberals who are really upset with me because I voted for Trump. Here's the problem with liberals, okay? You guys, not all, to be fair, not all of you, but most of you. If the other side does not completely 100% agree with you, they are trash. They are less than human. They are scum. Do you guys not see the problem with that way of thinking? It baffles me. It really does, because if you look at the situation objectively, all I wanted to do was bring us together and let everybody know that it's okay. You can't win every election, okay? And you're going to disagree with 90% of the people that you come across in your life. And if this is how you respond every single time somebody disagrees with you, you're going to live a miserable life. You really, really are. And I mean that in the most respectful way possible. Now, look, I'm a big boy, but the disgusting, vile shit that I've seen commented regarding my girlfriend, I'm sorry, is your entire argument not based on women and women's rights? And we need to support our women. But if they disagree with you or they're associated with someone that disagrees with you, then we're going to bring them down and we're going to trash their appearance and talk shit about them. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense, huh?
I have a lot of thoughts.
Alise,
yeah.
What do you think?
So I guess the first thing that I would say to this man is that someone who voted for Donald Trump is not someone who just disagrees with me on one minor thing. Mm-hmm. They are actually someone who stands in opposition to literally every single value that I think is an important value in this world. So it's not just like, yeah, someone who voted for like fucking Mitt Romney or something back in the day where I'm like, I don't think that you've thought through what your policies are. I think this guy sucks. I don't agree with this worldview. But Donald Trump, the things that he stands for and the things that he taps into in the human psyche in order to win and be successful are things that are directly oppositional to like truly how I believe we as humans should be and interact with each other. So that's why I don't fuck with Trump supporters, and I'm not going to take book recommendations from a fucking Trump supporter, especially when Donald Trump wants to ban a bunch of fucking books. Like, what are you talking about?
And also, I mean, I think that this guy is receiving a lot of backlash because his content was mostly directed towards women. So if you're making content towards a group of people and the entire Republican campaign was childless cat ladies, Taylor Swift's an idiot, Alex Cooper's an idiot, Kamala slept her way to the top, like inherently deeply, deeply sexist things that are being said. And and the thing is like, I mean, everything has consequences. Like if you want to vote for Trump, go ahead and do it. You're going to lose like your female audience members, which just statistically, as we discussed, on our Patreon episode, women are more likely to be, especially women of other races are leaning, progressive and Democrats and all that stuff. So
and younger women
and younger women especially. And also, yeah, I think it is people's right to like, yeah, I don't want to engage with what you're saying, and I don't want to give you support or anything if you don't think that I should have bodily autonomy to choose when I want to have a family or not, you know?
Yeah. And again, views are literally money on TikTok. So when you find out that someone is supporting a cause that you really deeply don't believe in, which I think is how any of us feel about Donald Trump, blocking someone and making sure that you can't see their content is a way to be like, okay, well, I'm not going to financially support this person.
That's one instance of people like mass unfollowing or blocking or all that stuff. And now we're getting to the backlash, which the backlash of that is from people who are like, this is supposed to be a fun space. So let's hear from a user called Angel Divine, who has said, what the BookTok? Seriously, can we just talk about books and keep politics out of it? Do better, be better, bring back humanity. So let's watch a little bit of what Angel Divine has to say. And whatever you think she's going to look like is what she looks like.
I'm getting on here today because I'm a little disturbed by BookTok right now. So I am seeing things on here such as reader unfollow party. If you're following or if you're voting for blah, 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 unfollow me. What the BookTok? Or why? I am fairly new to BookTok and I'm floored. I have seen this for the past 4 days, and maybe it's gone on longer than that, but it seems like closer to the election, we've had people coming out of the woodwork wanting to voice their opinion on who they're voting for. This is about books, people. BookTok is about books. Take that somewhere else, okay? BookTok should be a safe place. I don't care what religion. I don't care what race. I don't care about what genre you read. I don't care about who you vote for. What I care about is if you're a kind, caring, loving person. That's all I care about. And I care about books. Nothing will make me follow someone faster than them trying to bash someone else for voting for someone that they don't agree with. BookTok is supposed to be a safe space.
Let's take the politics out of books, Alise. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, she should talk to the person she voted for who's literally, his party is trying to ban books, is politicizing books. Books are inherently political. Reading is inherently political. It's why throughout all of history, people have tried to stop oppressed minorities from reading. Slaves weren't allowed to read. Like, women were barred from reading. Poor people have been barred from reading. Like, there is a reason why that is the case. And it is the reason why books are inherently political. It's the reason why conservative, right-wing, fascist groups go for books first, not to invoke the N-word, not the N-word, but the Nazi word. But like one of the first things Nazis did when they took power was there was this like Institute of Sexual Health in Berlin that was like doing actually like groundbreaking research on like queer identities and homosexuality, human sexuality in general, trans identities, etc. They fucking burned everything. And there's a reason that they do this shit. So number one, books are political. Number two, it's this same fucking game that these people always try to play where they're like, this is supposed to be a nice space. And it's like, yeah. And what people are saying is it's not a nice space if I'm following a bunch of fucking Trump supporters. Like that, yeah. I'm making it a nice space for me by unfollowing people whose values are deeply, deeply, deeply misaligned with mine. Why would I want to discuss books with someone who wants to deport 22 million people? Like, I don't agree with that person on fundamental human rights. So why do I want to hear what they think about a book?
To have voted for Trump in this election means to have ignored or not done any research. Either, like, the benefit of the doubt is you haven't done any research and you're upset with the eggs prices.
They're not going down, by the way.
They're never going down. Like, are you fucking kidding me? And if they are going down, you're getting listeria.
Enjoy it.
But, well,
enjoy your raw milk.
But enjoy your. I can't even like wrap my.
Sorry, I invoked raw milk.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, Jesus Christ. It's like to ignore that, whatever, but it's like you're not researching. It's to endorse someone who literally said that Haitian people are eating cats and dogs not even 2 months ago. No. Like something that has been categorically false and ruined an entire town in Ohio. You are endorsing this, like you're not looking into things. And it's like, yeah, that just isn't like this surface level disagreement thing. And it is important to see that like a lot of people, the majority of people who are saying this are white people and white women. Yeah. Like the majority of BookTok creators that are offended and appalled that there are politics in books, I have seen from my, qualitative research, not like I can't do like a mass, whatever, anecdotal research is that they're all white women who. That's
what I've seen on mine. Yeah. I mean, except for this one guy I've seen. Yeah, it's pretty universal across the board who's like upset that BookTok is quote unquote political. And it's, I think it speaks to the mentality of the white women who voted for Trump, because you are not making fundamental connections about the life that you enjoy and what Trump's policies would like do to that life.
Which is such a deep privilege.
Yeah, exactly. For you to not understand the political history of books, reading, libraries, access to literacy, all of that stuff, but be speaking on books, literature, literacy, etc. I think that does speak to the disconnect that we're seeing, that there are women who like have had abortions in their life but will vote for this man. There are women who, have gone through divorces but will vote for this man even though JD Vance says he wants to get rid of no-fault divorce. Like it's stuff where people aren't making a connection between the life that they enjoy now and what the end goal of Donald Trump's policies are for that life.
Or just view, like, don't take it seriously, or just view it as like, oh, they're just saying shit, or, whatever. They said the egg thing, so I'm going to go with that. And again, like, this is not to say that the Democratic Party has not made any failures or any things in the way that they've spoken to people or articulated their things, but it's just like to be apolitical in this moment is out of step and whatever. So that is the backlash. And again, this is a BookTok segment, so of course I have to show like 5 videos to get everything. So I apologize for that.
That was one other thing I quickly wanted to say is it's very funny to me that last woman we talked to, she was like, I have never seen anything like this in BookTok. And then she's like, I'm kind of new to BookTok. I'm like, well, clearly you are, because BookTok pops off all the time about honestly way weirder and crazy.
Yeah. There's always somebody like cosplaying as a different race in a Discord and all this shit. And so here's this. I thought that this creator made an interesting point, and I do want to discuss it. But there's also a lot of text that is written that he doesn't get into. So I just want you to keep an eye out for the text on the video too.
Okay.
This is by Memes for Writers, Patrick Nillian. I'm going to read the caption first. It would be easy for me to turn a blind eye to this political-fueled unfollow party issue and these lists of voters that are being created on BookTok. It would be safer for my writing platform to post yet another skit about deleting half my draft or Star Wars, but I feel like this is important. This post will probably land me on some of those bookish unfollow lists going around. That is scary. but that threat is even more of a reason to post this. I understand a lot of people are hurting, people are scared, and a big part of that fear comes from social media, and it's the tendency to promote extreme content. Making lists of authors to unfollow because they exercise their right to vote does not make anything better. If the books are political, then share books that inspired your perspective to your audience. Understand that books being political does not mean one side is right and another is wrong. Adding division to the BookTok community does no good for anyone. All book lovers and writers are welcome in my community, so long as they're not hostile towards other members of the community. Hashtag BookTok is political. And I do have to say, for racial context, this is a white man.
I just made a list of authors that I believe voted red. That way you can unfollow them. I feel like dividing the book community over politics does not make any sense. Books are political. So are open dialogues between people with unique opinions that could be shifted through reading. Maybe recommend some of the books that influence your opinion while also reading some books that influence other opinions. That way you can at least understand why people have them. Well, it's obvious who you voted for. Actually, I didn't, which brings up another concern. You may be punishing authors who actually voted blue but are also having open-minded discussions in the comments. Well, you're blocked. I don't have to talk to anyone who's sexist or racist. This is real life. I'm still here. Anyway, I want to go back to publishing my usual non-political content. That's the problem with people like you. You can be silent because you're not losing your rights. I'm speaking up. No, you're not. You just purge your platform of everyone who doesn't agree with you. You're basically just talking into an echo chamber. If anything, you're making people who are undecided voters less likely to vote with you in the future. Well, they wouldn't like my content anyway. Like books, my content is political. They were following you. They liked your content until you said they weren't welcome in the community and then started threatening with blacklist. Yeah, well, you're privileged. We spent the last few days arguing about the politics of BookTok when 40% of the world population isn't allowed to vote. Let's face it, we're all privileged.
Okay. I wasn't expecting it to be in the form of a skit, so I had to kind of absorb that.
Well, it's still TikTok, so
there was a lot of text on the screen that was not up for long enough to read.
Yeah,
so
this text is just like responding, like it's providing more nuance to the points that are being said. When I'm like, actually, this would have done better if you said a straight to camera.
Yeah, like I don't understand why it was in the format that it was. Okay, the one point that I will give him is that I do think that putting someone's, like a creator's name on a list just like because of an overall vibe that you think they voted for Trump is, I mean, you can block like number one, like anyone can block anyone. So like whatever, I'm not like,
and there's less reasons. Yeah. People have blocked people for less.
Yeah. Like I'm not hugely morally outraged, but I do think that when we, part of our Patreon was we looked at all these exit polls, and when it comes to like, even white women overall voted like 53% for Trump this time 52. Around. 52. Yeah. But it keeps like changing because we're getting more votes like in from California and shit still. But either way, once you break that down by age, the women that you're engaging with on BookTok, even a white woman is more likely to have voted for Kamala if she's like millennial or Gen Z or whatever. So I just feel like if you're just going off of like, oh, this person has been kind of apolitical and they look Trumpy, I don't know if that's necessarily a good metric. But I'm also not sure that's necessarily how people were creating the list. But if someone doesn't want to follow and give money to Trump supporters, that is their right. You are allowed to curate your feed. And unfortunately, because of how the algorithm works, the only way to truly like not have someone's content come to you is to block them and to say, I don't want to be in conversation with someone who would go into a voting booth and cast a vote for Donald Trump, knowing what we know about him, knowing what we know about the people he surrounds himself with. Like that is not aligned with me. And I'm not interested in opening their mind. Like this idea that this guy's like, well, you could have a dialogue with them and you could open their mind. That's actually not my fight. I'm actually not interested in having a dialogue with them.
And like, this is the reason why I bring up that he's a white man. I don't know if he's straight or not, but it's like, then let that be your burden and let that be your, like, because it's like, okay, I understand. And I do understand the echo chamber and all that stuff. I kind of understand both sides. Like, you want to hear what the other side is thinking and what they're like, whatever. Like, you want to see at least where their heads are at. But at the same time, I'm like, but that's kind of why I'm on Twitter. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm surrounded by that opinion. I can like look it up and like engage with that when I choose to, but not it fed to me and not it profiting off of me. And also, like, to say we're all privileged because we vote, it's like, yes and no, because this election, which we're not even like, this is another criticism of the Democratic Party, but like tons of Latino votes were purged. A lot of people mysteriously were inactive. They're getting their ballots. Like you are more likely to be disenfranchised if you're a certain race, if you're whatever.
Yeah. Russia called bomb threats into polling places in black areas in Georgia. Like, let's be fucking for real.
Let's be fucking real. And also, let's say that is true. It's like, by nature of me being a black woman, there are people who are just plain out. And by nature of us being women and you being Hispanic, there are just people who are not going to give our content a chance ever. They don't want to hear from women comedians. They don't think women are funny. They think what they want to think, whatever. They are not interested in our opinion based on that. And like, that is their right. They don't have to engage, but that is the reality of it, right?
Yeah.
To be upset, like now that you might be facing or you're losing this mass appeal, quote unquote, is like, welcome to everybody else on the internet. And also, it's like, yeah, well, actually, like, you don't have, I guess what bothered me about this thing, even though it is true and like the echo chamber and all that stuff, is like, if you're like, hey, I know other people are doing this. I'm not doing this. This is still going to be a safe space for everybody. But to like down talk people for wanting to take control of their algorithms or whatever, like, because you think it's stupid or you think it's senseless or you think whatever, like, it just completely shows your lack of empathy and your lack of compassion and your lack, like, if I was a gay person who was married to someone, I don't want to hear the opinion of someone who is voting against my existence. Like,
yeah,
I just don't.
100%. And again, for me, the thing that it comes down to, if these were just like old school forums where people were talking about books or whatever, it would be one thing. But again, the way monetization on TikTok works is that if these people come into your FYP, even if you don't go to their page, even if you don't engage with them, whatever, if you are fed their video and you watch it for any amount of time, they are getting money from you. So it changes the calculation. Like, there are conversations that I would maybe engage in for free, but I'm not going to pay someone. And like, yeah, the money's not coming out of my pocket, but it's like, I'm not going to contribute to this person getting paid because I engaged with their stuff or it came up on my page or whatever.
Yeah. And I just think too, like, and as we talk about like the broader kind of topic, I mean, yeah. So first of all, I think that if this guy wants to make his place and wants to do that, like, that is his privilege and that is his frankly unique ability. And no one is stopping him from having those dialogues and stuff. The problem is when he becomes self-righteous about having that position of power, having that privilege, and then like side-eyeing anyone who doesn't want to engage in that, And the fact of the matter is, if you are a person of color, if you are a gay person, if you're a woman, if whatever, a queer person, the reality is you are interacting with people in real life that have different opinions. You work with people, you do this, you do that, whatever. Like, that is life. Like, there is no way to completely erase, like, you can kind of go low contact with your family, but in some instance, you are going to be encountered and you don't know if these people are trying to like, or are engaging in these in one-on-one conversations with people who are hearing them out and all that stuff. But just like just like these people want a safe space for them to talk without politics, I think people do want a safe space for themselves. They're creating a safe timeline for themselves where they can talk about books with people who, kind of don't think that their rights are whatever. And I guess my bigger question is like, can you even do a healthy literary analysis if you aren't considering politics or biases?
I don't think so. I guess it depends on like the book, but I feel like, yeah, political considerations are part of a lot of fiction, and especially again on BookTok, which is super heavy in like the fantasy world, romantasy, and a lot of those worlds, like there are allegories for political situations in our own world. I mean, the Hunger Games is still a huge topic of conversation on BookTok, which is, yeah, like a story about fucking authoritarianism and how it's used against people in class warfare and shit. So another huge BookTok series are these like A Court of Thorns and Roses, ACOTAR, which also put a pin in ACOTAR discourse because BookTok gets all riled up about ACOTAR. But the reason that BookTok gets all riled up about ACOTAR is because there's, and I haven't read the whole series, I only read the first book, but there's some interesting allegorical political things that she's doing. Like I've seen TikToks about anti-Irish shit makes its way in and stuff. Again, I haven't read all of ACOTAR. I only read the first one. It didn't quite do it for me. There are political things inherent in especially a lot of the genres that BookTok talks about. It's very romance heavy as well, like a lot of romance books, a lot of like super sexy. They call it spice in the BookTok world. So there's a lot of conversations around like sex, sexuality, women's sexuality, and stuff like that, which is also like inherently super political, especially in this time. So like, I don't think that a creator who's making BookTok content needs to speak to the politics of every single book that they're talking about, and they can try to keep, if people want to keep things light, whatever, that's their right. Yeah, that's their prerogative to curate whatever kind of conversations they want on their page. But to be completely blind to the idea that a book would have political messaging behind it or whatever, like I don't even trust your analysis, because again, when we're talking about the Colleen Hoover stuff with It Ends With Us, there's a lot of problems with how she portrays domestic violence in that book, and that's a conversation that, you know, I need to know the person. If I'm going to get book recommendations from someone, I need to know that they're like thinking about books on that level of being like, what does it mean that she decides to co-parent with her abuser at the end of this story? Like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, what the fuck? So just to wrap this segment up, you know, I want to shout out this creator at Geraldine LL, who, you know, really kind of encapsulated this moment with the nuance that this deserves, you know, this topic deserves. And I just really think that, you know, the video we're about to watch just really put a finger on this moment. And like, especially as a Black woman, like she really, I don't know, she just really encapsulates. I want to shout her out. This TikTok really did it for me. So I just want to, I'm going to play it, and yeah.
I just want to say, since the election is over, if you voted for Trump, that does not mean we can't be friends. We're both adults. We can be cordial and mature in your fucking dreams, bitch.
Despair. I hope the devil takes your fucking soul. What a...
Oh, wow. It's beautiful to see it articulated so perfectly. And there's so funny. And that's the thing, there's so much intellectual discussion to be had on BookTok that we can't be getting bogged down by these dummies.
Oh, okay. Well, Alise,
that's our discourse. Wow. The first appearance, but not the last of BookTok in the discourse section. I am sure.
I'm pre-stressed because we have the Dispatch from the Animal Kingdom, and this story is
I actually have looked up nothing
crazy.
because I knew we were going to talk about it, and I saw people requesting it in the DMs, and I was like, I actually want to go in fresh, and I don't know anything about this creature.
Okay, well, Alise, well, get ready for this ride. So again, we've gotten a lot of requests to discuss a squirrel who has recently passed by the name of Peanut.
I'm sorry, just that sentence alone. We've been getting a lot of requests to discuss a squirrel that recently
passed named Peanut. And we've never mentioned Peanut on this podcast before, so you cannot say that it is us that is invoking the death of these animals, because we've never mentioned Peanut, and we have the fucking records to prove it. So let's talk about Peanut. Let's get into Peanut lore. So Peanut, his official legal name is Peanut, spelled Peanut, also known as P''nut, was a male eastern gray squirrel found and rescued by Mark Longo in 2017. He was the subject of a very popular Instagram account. He was found and rescued by Mark Longo after the squirrel's mother was killed by a car in New York City. So Peanut's mom gets hit by a car and the mom dies. And Peanut's a baby squirrel, and Mark Longo finds it, kind of nurses it back to health, tries to find a shelter for it, but it was unsuccessful. So he bottle fed the squirrel for the next 6 months, or 8 months, and was like, okay, Peanut, it's time for you to go to the wild. And what happened next was described in a 2022 article from USA Today. This is from Mark. Mark said, I released him in the backyard, and a day and a half later, I found him sitting on my porch, missing half his tail.
Oh, no.
So here I am, bawling my eyes out, like, I failed you as your human, says Mark. And I kind of opened the door. He ran inside, and that's the last of Peanut's wildlife career.
I was going to say, and I don't know much about animal husbandry, I'll say that. But my understanding is that, like, releasing animals just back into the wilderness is not as simple as literally, just releasing them back into the wilderness.
Yeah, no. You have to, I mean, I think that the kind of overall theme is that you kind of have to know what you're doing, and you have to be a professional and have a license. So since the squirrels returned, this is from 2022, Mark, Peanut, and Chloe the cat have lived in harmony for 5 years. They do everything together, from cooking to brushing teeth to hanging out on the couch, and his furry friend Peanut has changed Mark's life for the better. So this was a really cute article about it in 2022.
Okay. I'm surprised there's a cat involved, because Peanut would be missing a lot more than his tail if he came into my house with my cat.
Because of Biz? Oh,
yeah, Biz would not. Biz would rock Peanut.
Biz would rock Peanut?
Biz would kill Peanut immediately.
So it's important to note that it's illegal to keep squirrels as pets in the state of New York. And in the 7 years spent in Longo's care in his hometown of Norwalk, Connecticut, no license was obtained to legally keep Peanut. Longo has stated that he was in the process of filing paperwork to have Peanut certified as an educational animal at the time of the seizure, but however, he has not explained why he did not pursue a license in the preceding 7 years. Okay, so while Longo was in his care, or while Peanut was in Longo's care, Longo created an Instagram account sharing videos of Peanut, and by October 2024, the account had amassed 534,000 followers. I checked today, it's at 900,000 followers, Peanut's Instagram account. Okay. So Peanut's social media following helped steer viewers to Longo's OnlyFans account. So he would use Peanut's account of squirrel videos and stuff to go to Longo's OnlyFans account, where he called himself Peanut's dad and produced pornography. So basically, the squirrels, yeah, exactly.
You know what? Honestly,
do what works.
He can do what he can, for as long as porn is allowed. He's welcome to do that. I wasn't expecting the Peanut story to go the OnlyFans route.
Yeah,
but okay.
So he called himself Peanut's dad and produced pornography, and he would get over $800,000 in a month.
Oh.
So in April 2023, Longo and his wife moved from Norwalk to upstate New York to found the Peanuts Freedom Farm Animal Sanctuary. They contributed to half of the sanctuary's expenses, most of which was raised through Peanut's social media presence. So they created an animal sanctuary based on Peanut's social media thing.
Okay, I have a question that you might not be able to answer. Was Peanut's dad, what was the nature of the pornography that he was creating? Was it with Peanut's mom? Is it
I think it might be with Peanut's mom. I'll look it up. Right now. Let's do this research.
Incredible. This is one of the benefits of when we're virtual, is that we have the computer right in front of us to say what type of pornography was Peanut's dad making.
I think it just might be. I think I'm on like a gay porn within OnlyFans. Oh, Squirrel Daddy. Okay, so yeah, like he's like doing porn. He's showing his penis, but he's working out naked.
Okay. I'm seeing another article that is referring to him and his wife as an OnlyFans duo.
Couple. Yeah, so they do stuff.
They must have done stuff together. Okay. I just wanted to know, was he leaning into the squirrel of it all? Again, I do think he would use Squirrel Daddy.
Okay. To promote, and like that's his thing. Everything on Instagram, I mean on OnlyFans, on everything is Squirrel Dad. But then he would use Squirrel Dad to promote his porn, and a lot of it is him doing push-ups naked. It's butt shots. It's all that.
Fine.
And I think he would do like kinky stuff,
and that's his right for as long as we still have rights, you know.
Well,
he's welcome to do that.
Yeah. So yeah, I think, and I'm like looking at his Amazon wish list now.
What's he wishing for?
Shoes, like lotion.
Okay.
I want to see like what people have bought for him, but it looks like, yeah, it just looks like it's shoes and lotion.
Okay.
All right, whatever. Okay. All
right, we can get back to it. I just needed to understand.
Yeah.
A little bit more.
So basically, okay. He gets the squirrel. The squirrel had a lot of followers. He would use the followers from Instagram to go to his personal Instagram account and to his OnlyFans account. He opens this animal life sanctuary. They called it Peanuts Freedom Farm. And they got, again, a 350-acre animal sanctuary. And according to them, the sanctuary had rescued over 300 animals by November 2024.
Oh, that's a large number.
Yeah. However, Longo is not licensed as a wildlife rehabilitator. So the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation began investigating Mark Longo in January 2024 after complaints were received alleging that Longo was keeping wildlife illegally.
Yeah.
In an interview with the New York Post, Longo speculated that the anonymous complaints were motivated by jealousy due to the success of his OnlyFans account. So he's getting a lot of hype. He has this farm, whatever, and he's getting investigated.
Yeah, I mean, it could be jealousy. It could also be like, I know that it's a 350-acre farm, so I'm sure his neighbors are quite far away, but he does say he has over like 300 random animals on this farm, so I don't know what that does to the neighborhood, I guess.
So this is where we start getting crazy.
Okay.
It hasn't gotten crazy yet.
Wow, okay.
On October 30th, 2024, the NYSDEC, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, took Peanut, along with a pet raccoon named Fred, from Longo's home in Pine City, New York.
Okay.
2 days later, government officials alleged that after his seizure, Peanut had bitten one of the personnel involved, and the pets were euthanized to test for rabies.
Peanut was killed?
Peanut was euthanized by the New York Department of Environmental Conservation. There, because so Peanut bit this person, and there's no antemortem rabies test for animals that are approved by the CDC. So they had to kill Peanut or euthanize Peanut to see if Peanut had rabies.
Oh no.
People are pissed. Longo claimed that the NYS DEC used excessive force during the raid, which according to Longo lasted more than 5 hours. It became super political super quickly.
I love books aren't political, but this becomes political immediately. Which is like a guy has 300 feral animals on a farm.
So the death of Peanut was used as cause celebre by the MAGA movement, who blamed it on Democrats. Several prominent Republican figures complained about the killing of the squirrel, with some Trump campaign supporters claiming that the Biden-Harris administration was too firm regarding licenses for owning wild animals like squirrels as pets. Both New York Governor and Vice President Kamala Harris turned down a request to comment on the incident. The Republican vice president, so J.D. Vance talked about it.
Oh, of fucking course J.D. Vance talked about it. Oh my God.
And he said, Don's fired up about the Peanut the squirrel. And basically they're saying that there's too much government overreach. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo of
Cuomo.
the Democratic also criticized the DEC, as did actor William Shatner. Also, Elon Musk said on the Joe Rogan podcast.
No, not Elon Musk on the Joe Rogan podcast. No.
That government overreach has kidnapped an orphan squirrel and executed him. The controversial seizure of Peanut has called for reform. State Assemblyman Jake Blumenkreis has introduced Peanut's Law, Humane Animal Protection Act, which would require a 72-hour waiting period before euthanizing animals seized from sanctuaries and ensure humane due process. Support for the Longos has extended online with a GoFundMe for Peanut's cause, raising over $132,000.
Millie, I don't even. I'm pulled in so many different directions with this because, I mean, number one, I wish any of these people had an ounce of this empathy when a Black person is executed.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Like, this is
I'm
crazy.
like, oh my God. The quickness, the swiftness of which how, like, they made a new law. They did this. They called out hypocrisy. They're like big government overreach. These are people who are...
I'm not even against Peanut's Law. It seems I'm like, you know what? Yeah, maybe they should wait before they euthanize like a pet that was seized by somebody. Whatever. I also like, it's not like they just went in for Peanut. This guy said he had over 300 animals and was pretending to have a wildlife sanctuary. So that's why the Department of Conservation got involved. If he had just kept having this squirrel illegally, I don't think that or even the squirrel and a raccoon, I don't think that the state of New York would have gotten involved. I think it's the fact that he was claiming to have a wildlife sanctuary and had said he had over 300 animals there. And this raid took 5 hours. So clearly he had a lot of random...
It's a huge farm. It's 325 acres is nothing to scoff at.
I know.
That's huge. You can't have a bunch of fucking animals and not like... That's why you get a wildlife license to be, and they don't even regulate that shit. Like, one of my favorite documentary style podcasts is literally called Puppy Kingpin, and it's literally about puppy laundering because a lot of states have made it illegal for puppies to come from puppy mills. But what people do is make up fake LLCs and fake nonprofits and say that the puppies came from that, but they really came from a fucking, puppy mill that they just rebranded and all this shit. And it's really fucked up. But the whole thing is that there's not enough enforcement to even enforce like these laws that are already in place. So it's just like you have to have proper licenses to show that you are doing things to mitigate rabies and to mitigate all these things. And like, if it's about wildlife rehabilitation, you have failed to do that. The squirrel couldn't go back in the wild because you don't know what you're doing. And that's fine. Have a squirrel in your house. Who gives a shit? But if you're going to have 300 animals in a place where other people live, yeah. Like, I'm sorry. You have to get your fucking license. 7 years?
Yeah, I just imagine that anywhere where like someone's gonna have a 300-acre farm, like there are other farms nearby that also have animals, and if you have like rabid raccoons and squirrels and all this stuff, that like I don't know how you keep a raccoon in a farm setting. If I feel like if a raccoon wants to leave and go to the other farm and then bite someone else's animals, like it's definitely gonna do that. I am wondering, like, why are rabies shots available to squirrels? And if they are, why didn't we get one for Peanut? I am sad that Peanut's dead and that Peanut has been euthanized. Again, anti-murder podcast.
Yeah.
I feel bad that Peanut was caught up in all of this, but it is so funny to me that this became like a political right-wing thing from a party that has made it very clear that they do not care when the authorities kill human beings. Black people, and like also that they're pro the fucking death penalty for people. I'm against all of it. I'm pro Peanut's law, but I also would like there to be this kind of urgency for human beings.
But also, I'm like, if you have a value for human life, you'd kind of understand why they needed to know if the Peanut was going to give them rabies.
Yeah.
But it sucks.
It sucks because I always feel bad when you hear these stories about like a bear does something that a bear would normally do and it's killed, or like it's like, yeah, a squirrel's gonna bite you if you like take it. So that makes me like, I do feel I wish Peanut was still here with us. I really do, but the fact
I wish a lot of things. I don't think
know,
that would be
a
my
lot
first
of wishes right now,
or 10th or maybe even 20th wish that Peanut's still alive. But
it's on there.
I'm
Like
just saying,
eventually, if you went down the list of all the things I wish, you would eventually get to I wish that Peanut was still here with us for sure. But it is so funny that like again, like I guess it worked for them, but the right wing, like Trump and Vance have been so online that like for them to even know what this is and to like speak on Peanut is so wild. But then it's like, I don't know, maybe that's part of why their message gets through to people, because they talk about viral stuff and Kamala won't engage with Peanut because she's the sitting vice president of the United States and absolutely should not even know what is going on with Peanut in any way, shape, or form. But I don't know. She lost.
I don't know, Liz, but yeah, we don't know. But I'm upset that I had to look this up. I'm like that I had to go down the Peanut rabbit hole was crazy. Okay, so let's go to Grasshole of the Week.
Okay, it's time for Grasshole of the Week. This is our segment where we discuss one person who needs to log off the most. I did not expect to be back in Broadway TikTok, Broadway FYP, Broadway fandom as quickly as we are, but we've got to talk about Nicole Scherzinger. So this week's Grasshole is Nicole Scherzinger. If you don't know that name, have never heard of her before, you would probably actually know her because she was basically the lead singer of the Pussycat Dolls.
Mm-hmm.
That's most likely where most people would potentially know her from. Prior to that, she was a member of the pop group Eden's Crush.
I remember that.
Which was created on the WB talent show Pop Stars. Since then, she's been a judge on a bunch of TV singing shows, The Sing Off, X Factor UK, Australia's Got Talent, Masked Singer. She was on Dancing with the Stars. And
I think she was in Moana too, right?
Yeah, she's like the voice of someone in Moana, not Moana, but she is genuinely a talented singer and dancer. Like, Let's put that out
Mhm.
there now. But the thing that's kind of dogged her for her whole career is this idea of like, why isn't she more famous? She kind of has like a mini group of gay male stans. I think they call themselves
Mhm.
Scherzenbergers, but I'm not sure if that's
Jesus
just
Christ.
made up. I did see the word Scherzenberger being thrown about. I don't know, but she's never fully, like, her music career, especially post Pussycat Dolls, never fully popped off. She has always been more successful kind of in this like hosting space. So there's an article from the Daily Telegraph where writer Adam White described her career as a perfect case study in all the right ingredients, not automatically producing a great result. She's never taken off as a pop star in her own right, instead achieving greater visibility and success as a spokesperson for products. And then Nick Durden in The Independent once wrote, and I didn't write the date of this article, but based on the people that he lists, we can imagine it was like in the mid-2000s. He said that despite her being clearly talented, Scherzinger doesn't have Lady Gaga's edge, Katy Perry's chutzpah, or Rihanna's elan, which is a word I had to Google that means energy, style, and enthusiasm. Elan.
Yeah, so I would say that this is like 2011.
Yeah, I was like,
12.
okay, with those three examples, I'm like, all right, it's clearly between 2011 and 2014 kind of
Yeah.
maximum.
Yeah.
But, okay, so that's where Nicole Scherzinger was at prior to basically the last like year and a half, I would say.
Mhm.
A little small group of devoted fans, definitely successful in the hosting world, but like never fully made it happen for herself as a pop diva, which is like clearly what she always wanted and was going for.
Mhm.
But all of that was about to change when she made her Broadway debut as Norma Desmond in the revival of Sunset Boulevard, which is a musical by Andrew Lloyd Webber. I'm not really familiar with this show, but from what I've heard, it's kind of a wonky show in general. It's based on a movie from the 1950s by the same name, but everyone has been talking about this performance by Nicole Scherzinger since she started out on the West End. So she started with the show on the West End, which is like London's Broadway. The show transferred to the US and she transferred with it as the star, which doesn't always happen, but people were going crazy for this performance.
I've heard of it, and I'm not even a Broadway girly like that.
Yeah, well, it started to break through because number one, the show does kind of a cool thing where like it starts with the actors outside, and I guess they like live stream them and then they come into the theater. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but like clips of that aspect of it were going viral on TikTok. And the show ends with Scherzinger in this black satin dress and she's like covered in blood. And so a lot of pictures of her doing stage door, which is basically where like the actors come out after the show and they'll like sign stuff. Her doing the end of the show and her doing stage door in like the bloody black satin dress was getting a lot of like meme.
It was a popular Halloween costume.
It was, exactly. Like we personally know people who were her for Halloween, but even like Rachel Zegler went as her for Halloween. Like it was getting a lot of traction, especially in like Broadway communities, and I think was starting to make its way to people who like have any amount of paying attention to Broadway or like just know Broadway people. The New York Times called her performance career defining. She won the 2023 Evening Standard Theater Award for Best Musical Performance, the 2024 Laurence Olivier Award for Best Actress in a Musical. And ever since the show moved to Broadway, everyone has been saying Tony for Nicole Scherzinger. Nicole Scherzinger is giving the Tony. On just like other podcasts I listen to and stuff, people being like, this is a once in a lifetime performance. Like you have to go see her. She's so incredible. When you're watching her do it, you can tell that you're like watching someone do something they were like born to do. People were saying this is going to be a remembered and iconic Broadway performance forever and forever. But then, November 5th, 2024, we remember it well. 1 week ago, the day of the election, Scherzinger comments on a photo of Russell Brand,
Alleged
rapist and sexual assaulter. He was accused of both last year. He pals around with Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan. I mean, he's become like a right-wing figure at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, Russell Brand posted a picture on the day of the election of a Trump hat, a MAGA hat that says, "Make Jesus first again." And Nicole Scherzinger commented on it, "Where do I get this hat?"
Oh my God.
So people immediately clock this, right? And are like, what the fuck?
The fuck?
Prior to this, Scherzinger's politics are like confusing. She was involved in the Obama 2008 campaign, and she appeared in the music video for will.i.am's song "Yes We Can," which was like an Obama inspired song.
Mm-hmm.
In 2016, she published a love letter to the LGBTQ community in Billboard. So I don't really know like what that was about or why, if that was Trump related. I mean, if I saw a letter to the LGBTQ community being published under the Trump administration, my assumption would be it was an anti-Trump message.
Yeah.
But she's also publicly said that she is anti-abortion, and she won't identify as a feminist. Instead, she says, "I'm just for women. I'm also for the human race in general." So, you know, that kind of bullshit. But like her politics weren't front and center. I think she's always been very Jesus-y, but I think one could feign ignorance about what it is that she like actually believes and votes for. But as soon as this happens, people start looking more into her social media activity, and they quickly realize that she also recently liked a post by RFK Jr. It's like a video of Tucker Carlson and Russell Brand, and the caption says, "Yes, at Russell Brand, at Tucker Carlson, I will restore free speech, end the forever wars, and protect children's health once we get real Donald Trump back in the White House." How are we feeling about both of these actions on social media?
Not great. I think first of all, make Jesus first again. I think "Make America Great Again" is stupid because who was it great for? When was it great? All of those reasons. But one can argue that there was a time where America was great if you were a white guy.
Yeah.
Who wanted to subjugate minorities and stuff. So I can have, there's credence there. Make Jesus first again is like, this country was founded on separation of church and state. When was it not about that aside? I'm just like, when wasn't Jesus first? And also like, why would you make it first for everybody? Why don't you just say, "I love Jesus"?
Just make Jesus first for yourself.
For
like,
you.
Just do it for you. I'm gonna do it at your house. That you're
do
more
it
than
at your
welcome.
house. So
you're more than welcome.
It's like you want your gay fans and you want to have your money and you want to make money and have notoriety and wear what you want, but you also want to tell other people what to do and you want to have it all and you can't. Like, either you're for women and you want women to be treated well and paid equally, or you're not.
Yeah.
But to be benefiting from feminism, it's just, she just sounds like a fucking idiot. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And to underscore that, I do want to show you this thing that she did post on election day.
Me on my way to make the right decision today.
Yeah, and it's just her in like an all denim ensemble walking down a hallway. She definitely like,
it looks like a Broadway.
Yeah, she's backstage.
Recording studio or something.
She might be like backstage or in a rehearsal space. She's like, I mean, she definitely thinks she's serving here. I will say that watching this video and knowing that she's a Trump supporter, she has Trump supporter face. For real.
For sure.
There are echoes of Laura Loomer in the work that she's had done. She obviously looks a lot better than Laura Loomer because she has more money.
Mm-hmm.
But you can actually, I think that the video actually radiates, "I'm on my way to the polls to vote for Trump."
Yeah.
So, okay. And also, if you look at the comments on that video now, it's like, "This age like milk, fuck you." Like, it's like,
Yeah.
But when she posted it, this thing, her doing the Russell Brand comment had not like come out. So when she posted that, I think people could just assume, okay, she's going to go vote for Kamala, whatever. She's a Broadway star.
Woman of color.
Yeah, like
Asian descent.
Yeah, like she's going to vote for Kamala, obviously. But then now we know more. So this immediately sparks a conversation around exactly what you were saying. What does it mean to be someone who's clearly trying for this like gay icon status? Even like the walk to be like serving and you're like all denim ensemble as you're like going to vote, whatever. Like she's clearly trying to create that for herself. She's also in an industry that is built by women and queer people. And when it comes to pop music, Black people, you know, what does it mean to be in this industry when you're someone who supports Donald Trump? And like people start talking about like they feel really bad for the other people in her cast who, you know, are queer women, people of color.
Because now people are like, I'm not going to support Sunset.
Yeah, exactly. So
Boulevard because I don't want. It's the same thing as BookTok. Like I don't want my money and my time and my engagement to go to somebody who has views that feel like I should be subjugated.
Exactly. And it is a really shitty thing because like, yes, she is the star and it was kind of on the basis of the strength of her performance that this musical was doing really well. But like, it's a really hard time on Broadway right now. It like a lot of shows are opening and closing really, really fast. To be in a show that's actually doing well, that's on track to win Tonys, and then the star just fucking like puts a bullet in it.
So do you think it's a bullet?
I'm not sure. Okay, so I actually don't really think so because as much as we would think of Broadway audiences as liberal, queer audiences, which like they definitely are, the way Broadway ticket prices have been for the past couple of years, a lot of Broadway audiences are rich old white people who aren't on TikTok and don't give a fuck, and even if they are personally liberal would be like, but we can still go see the show. And it's a lot of tourists.
It seems like the show, even though the show might have success, like it's definitely lost the cool factor.
Yeah, it's definitely made it, because this was, I would say, like the hot ticket in town was like you have to go see Nicole Scherzinger specifically in Sunset Boulevard. And now I feel like a lot of people who feel that way about it, and like the people who are coming off of like the TikTok Halloween costume vibe, like I do think she's lost all of that for sure. Also, so she's actually a co-principal in the role of Norma. There's another actress, Mandy Gonzalez, who also plays the role of Norma. She's not an understudy. She is a second principal. So a lot of people are like, you should go when you know Mandy is going to be in. I think it's like she performs on Tuesdays and stuff. So a lot of people are like, you should go support her. Also, people have been talking previously about being like, okay, we got to run Nicole Scherzinger her Tony. Now they're like, actually, let's just give it to Audra McDonald. Audra McDonald is currently starring as Rose in Gypsy on Broadway. She's already got 6 Tonys. So a lot of people were like, give it to Nicole this year. Like, this is her year, blah, blah, blah. And people were like, you know, Audra has 6 Tonys. It's time for Nicole Scherzinger to get her one. And now everyone's like, or a lot of people are like, actually, we can give Audra her 7th Tony. That's fine. She can get number 7. So with all of this going on, Nicole takes to Instagram story. So we're not even doing a grid post. That's how you know people are hoping for something to go away. So she posts this. I deeply apologize for the hurt caused by my recent engagement with some social media posts. When I commented on these posts, I made the mistake of not realizing that they could be easily interpreted as politically related, and I apologize to anyone who understandably reached that conclusion. Many presumptions are being drawn which do not reflect who I am, what I stand for, or who I voted for. Many of the marginalized communities feeling hurt and concerned by the results of the presidential election are people I care about most. I stand with them, as I always have throughout my career. If you know me, you know that. Like so many others, in times of adversity and uncertainty, I turn to my faith. I believed that the posts I engaged with were about encouraging people to choose love and faith, putting Jesus first. For me, Christ embodies peace, compassion, hope, and above all, unconditional love, especially those who may feel it the least right now. I come from a place of love, and I will always support values that bring us together. It's so important we come together with compassion and love one another more now than ever. So what jumps out at you about that?
I'm just, this is the shit that like kind of put me on a zombie trance for like days. It's like, you're seeing the consequences of your actions, but I'm also just like, do you really think everyone's a fucking idiot?
Yeah.
Like, do you think everyone's an idiot and you're just like smarter than everyone else? Like things could be interpreted as political. Fuck you. And people are making assumptions on who I voted for. If you're not saying who you voted for, we know who you voted for. Because if you was like Kamala Harris, you would have said it. You would have said, guys, I voted for Kamala, chill out.
Right?
I'm so sorry, whatever. I voted for Kamala and I love Jesus. No, you just don't want to see the consequences of your actions, which is fine. Vote for whoever you want to vote for. But then again, it's up to the people who make the tastemakers of Broadway. You will always have fans, but the tastemakers of Broadway, the people who decide what is cool in culture, are not going to celebrate you and uplift you and endorse you if you do not think that they should have rights over Jesus or not.
Yeah, and it's also like the posts were interpreted as political. He posted a play on a MAGA hat on election day. And also the RFK Jr. post says, I will protect children's healthcare once we get real Donald Trump back in the White House. So what are you talking about could be interpreted as
with
political?
Tucker Carlson in
with
it.
Tucker Carlson in it.
Like,
get the fuck out of here. Could be interpreted as political. Like, it's just like, girl, you voted for Trump. You voted for Trump and everyone clocked it. So you can either get out here and defend it. You could lie, I guess, and say you voted for Kamala to get the heat off of yourself. I mean, I'm glad she didn't
Azalea
do that,
Banks.
but
Azalea Banks said she was going to vote for Kamala because she doesn't want Elon in power, but then voted for Trump.
Yeah.
And then came out and said it. Like, I can't, like, every day is something new, and
yeah, I mean, that's fucking insane.
Unfortunately, never stop, yeah.
On the one hand, I'm like actually glad she didn't log off, and I'm glad that she's very dumb and showed her hand, because I was very much, I gotta go see Nicole Scherzinger in Sunset Boulevard.
Even I, who have no money and don't care about Broadway, was gonna go see it. So
this was a theory posed to me by former guest on the pod, Marsha Belsky, while we were having drinks the other night, and we were talking about this. Because part of me is like, why would you comment these things and like these things and not be prepared for people to like realize that you're doing that and see that you're doing that and understand from it that you're voting for Trump? And I think that it's because, so Nicole Scherzinger is 46, fucking Gen X, Trump supporting generation.
We talked about that on our podcast, on our Patreon.
Gen X women voted for Trump at a higher rate than boomer women. So what is going on with
Something
Gen
went
X?
wrong. It's all the lead that they were exposed to, and like the water hose and all that shit.
Yeah, well, Kurt Cobain would be ashamed.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that. I'm glad he's not here to see this. So,
well, what's your theory, Alise?
This is what Marsha said, and I agree. It's like, I think that Nicole Scherzinger just like is kind of dumb and didn't realize like your comments are going to show anyone who follows you and sees this post, your comment is going to be the first thing that they see. That's how this works. If you like a post and someone follows you and they look at that post, your name is it's going to say Nicole Scherzinger, and other people looked this up. I don't think she like fully conceptualized that that's how all of this works.
No, I mean, just even from the apology that definitely was written by a PR person, she just doesn't sound like she's thinking critically about like the implications. But also, yeah, she didn't think it was a big deal. She can't believe she got caught, whatever. It's just ridiculous. Like, I don't know. I'm just like running out of space in my brain for people like this dumb.
As we've said, women still have the right to vote. So you can vote for
For now, yeah.
Yeah, for now. You can vote for Donald Trump if you want. You can be public about voting for Donald Trump if you want. Anyone in the entire entertainment industry would know there would be consequences to that for a Broadway performer specifically, especially because if we do a little TBT, there was this kind of famous Broadway girly Laura Osnes who came out in support of Trump the first time, and now she's doing community theater performances in Wichita. Like, people do not fuck with Laura Osnes. So there's very clear indications to anyone on Broadway about how negatively it would go for you if you come out publicly as a Trump supporter. So the fact that she seemed so surprised by this and like did this in such a weird way does make me really feel like she did not understand the level of visibility her comments would have.
No, and sometimes people get too high on their own supply, which I feel like it's all of this. So fuck you, Nicole. Like, whatever. Like, I hope that they do something soon.
I do not think that she will lose her job on the show for this. I think she will still be nominated for the Tony. I don't know that she will get the Tony.
Yeah.
Like, once it comes down to, I don't know how like Tony voting works or who the Tony voters are necessarily, but if it works anything like the Oscars and all this stuff, it's going to be other performers. So that's where I think she might have really fucked herself. And then also she's just not going to get this thing that she wanted, which was to be like Queen Slay, Mama Diva, all of this stuff. And she was right there. She was a Halloween costume. She was right fucking there. She was on the precipice of this thing that she has wanted
but
for so long.
Now we know why.
So, for the crime of losing it all just so that you could comment on a Russell Brand Instagram post about a MAGA hat, Nicole Scherzinger, go touch grass. Wow. A lot of dumb people in this episode.
R.I.P. Peanut, but...
R.I.P. Peanut. Peanut didn't do anything. Peanut didn't do anything.
Well, you bit someone, but yeah. But, gonna bite someone.
But... you can't be
you can't be biting people.
You can't be biting people, but also it's like, you're in a high stress situation.
You can't be adopting animals and not having licenses.
Yeah. That's the main thing. Peanut, I absolve of the bite personally, and I don't want to speak ill of the dead, and he's no longer with us. Yeah. So, but everybody else that we've talked about today is an idiot, and I'm very upset that I have to live in the government that they voted for. I'm like,
you can find us at Go Touch Grass Pod on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find me at Millie_Tamarez on Instagram and TikTok, and on Twitter at Millie Tamarez, Tamarz.
And you can find me at Alise on Instagram and Alise Navidad on TikTok. And until next time,
go touch grass.
That was a HeadGum podcast.
Hi, I'm Caleb Heron, host of the So True podcast, now on HeadGum. Every week, me and my guests get into it, and we get down to what's really going on. I ask them what's so true to them, how they got to where they are in life, a bunch of other questions, and we also may or may not test their general trivia knowledge, whether it's one of my sworn enemies like Brittany Broski or Drew Wallow, or my actual biological mother, Kelly. My guests and I are just after the truth, and if we find it, great, and if not, no worries. So subscribe to So True on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, or wherever you get your podcasts, and watch video episodes on the So True with Caleb Heron YouTube channel. New episodes drop every Thursday. Love ya.